Hey everyone, it's Dan from Fulton Road. What was a teaser in the last video is the subject of this one. This is about painting and weathering the Southern Pacific SD7. The shell was airbrushed with Floquil SP Lark Light Gray. The ends were painted with Tester's Red. I airbrushed gloss coat over everything in order to apply decals. The decals include the wings at the front, the SP letters at the front, the Southern Pacific on the sides, and the road number on the cab sides and back of the locomotive. So let me talk a little bit about the weathering. This was all done with oil paints following a technique that Tom Johnson explained in his Facebook blog and his Model Railroad Hobbyist blog, both called Tom Johnson's Cass County Railroad. Fading is done with white oil paint. This is artist oil paint, and it's a dry brushing method. This is done by picking up a very small amount of paint on my brush, brushing most of that off on a paper towel, and painting a spot which I extend out, blending the white into the gray. In weathering the long hood with all of its doors, I spread the thin paint up and down, trying not to paint the area where each door ends. On the fuel tank, I used some black to create the diesel spill. I used just a dab of red craft paint to outline the fuel gauges. The rust streaks on top of the cab were done with gouache. It started with those 4 spots you see. I brushed both ways on the cab to create the rust streaks. Gouache is like watercolor but much stronger, and a little bit goes a long way. Long before I started weathering, I searched the web looking for pictures of Southern Pacific SD7s. I probably downloaded about 20 pictures. I printed 2 of them on plain paper so that I could have them at the workbench. This helped me to see what spots were dark, what spots were faded, and gave me a guide to weather this model. So let's talk about adding details. On the pilots, I added coupler cut levers and MU hoses. These parts are from a set made by Trainworks. I drilled number 80 holes in the pilot and attached the coupler cut levers with CA. After the parts were glued in place, I had to bend them into their final shape, and this required several attempts because they are so small. The MU hoses are simply glued onto the pilots. Here's a close-up of the painted MU hoses and coupler cut levers. The cab was detailed by adding windshield wipers and painting the gaskets around the windows. The gaskets were painted with a Sharpie. I also added mirrors on the engineer's side. Here's a close-up. The part of the sill assembly with the handrails and steps has been partially painted using Vallejo acrylic white on the handrails, and what remains to be done is to paint the edges of the steps. Here's a short clip I took last year showing the unpainted locomotive. And let me just tell you about a couple of glitches that are apparent in these photographs. First of all, two of the numbers on the left side of the cab came off after I removed the masking tape I put over the cab to spray it with dull coat. Secondly, the wings are too low, but I'm calling this done for now.